Good morning, class. So, in today's zoology lecture, we are going to see the endocrinology and hormones. So, as we are talking about the endocrinology, so endocrinology is the study of hormones or the glands which produce and secrete the hormones at the optimum level inside the body according to metabolic functions of the human body or anyone in which they are producing. And second thing, we are going to see some specialized producing and secreting things that are the hormones. So both the things, study of hormones and how we can do that and how the hormones are function. So these two things we are going to see in this lecture. So if we begin with the introduction part of hormones and endocrinology, so the study of hormones secreted by specialized glands that are duct cells is known as endocrinology. So whenever we add this suffix logy, so that is simple that we are talking about some kind of study. And endocrine is related of some ductless process or some specialized gland process which are responsible for secreting a specialized thing that is called the hormones. So in this study, we are going to see how these specialized glands, which are ductless, are contributed themselves to produce hormones, and their study is known as endocrinology. So hormones, they are a special chemical messenger constantly present in the circulation. So these are functions as a chemical messenger. So if we see their property, this is a property like they are the inside the cell, inside the central dogma. When DNA has to make some action and produce some code, our mRNA is responsible for transferring their message to the ribosomal body. So same here, endocrine system, if we talk about, like they also produce some messenger to do some action on their target organ. Because every function inside our body that has to be regulated or inhibited by the hormones. That's why hormones are very important to be present in a constant manner, or they has to be present in a circulation for having all the physiological function to be done in very accurately rate. So the organs and tissue on which the hormones act is known as target organs. So the organs which are in need of having some function and where hormones are going and telling them to stimulate something or inhibit something or increasing their rate of reaction. So these are basically, responsible, or the organ which are responsible having all these things that are called target organ. So the hormones carries chemical message to almost all the part of the body. So if we see the hormones, they carry chemical messenger, like not only some specific organs, but mostly to all the organism present in the body. They regulated by the hormones, hence are very important along with nervous system for regulation the function of the body. So they are very, that's why, because they are intermediate position, they present at the intermediate position of all the physiological functions inside the body. So that's why their regulation is as important as our nervous system. This is a flow diagram where you can see the endocrine, this is the endocells which are secreting the hormone, okay, and these are the target tissue which are getting the hormone. So this the cell which is going to release, that is called endocell, and the one tissue or cell which is getting the hormone, they are called the target tissue. Neurocrine, in which neuron have a potential to send a hormone to a specific target. So in this, neuron have to play a stimulant role, or you can say the first process that has to be initiated for the transformation of hormone. That is, initially has to be done by the neuron, and in intermediate positions, not neuron cannot directly send the hormone. Okay, they need some intermediates to send the hormones, and they are very important to regulating all the kind of hormones activity inside the body. And these important things are the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. So hypothalamus and anterior pituitary, you can behave like the most important kind of endocrine glands, which are responsible for the most of the hormones translocation from from the glands to their target organs. So in this way, we are having this two kind of system here: endocrine, that is directly controlled by the endocrine glands or endocells. Second one, neurocrine, that first stimulant has to be started with neurons, but intermediate should be crossed with the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. Then the hormone is going to go for their target cell, and then they are going to produce your work. So this is a pattern that has to be followed in the endocrine and neurocrine system. Difference between the endocrine and exocrine. Now, what we are going to see, they are the two type of glands which are present in our body. One, they are called endocrine, and second, which are called exocrine. I think name is also suggesting something inside and something outside. So endocrine glands, they are ductless glands. No ducts are attached to the gland. So basically, they don't have any kind of special duct, or you can say duct is like tubes or veins. Not exactly. I cannot call them the veins, but they are the tube-like hollow structures which are absent inside the endocrine glands. So no ducts are attached to the gland. The internal secretion of these glands are known as hormone. And endocrine, their internal secretion, whatever the secretory material, they will be calling themselves as a hormone, or we are calling them as a hormone. The secretion are directly poured into the circulating blood and reach the organ. So what is the medium? Like, they don't have tubes, they don't have any particular secreting vessel. So how they are going to pass their hormone to the target organ? So they are a major contributor, or you can say major uphold for taking the hormones there, or transporting agent to be clear. So the transporting agent is here the circulating blood. Blood is circulating in all our body. It's like per minute, even less than a minute, our body have a whole cycle to be completed. So in this, our blood is having a very high reach transportive system. So they just directly flow the hormone inside the blood, and at what target organ they are going to require, the blood will supply that hormone to that particular target organ. Endocrine glands are complex, they are very complex, their functions are complex, their stimulation, inhibition, they are having many kind of process which has to be studied for their knowing their better functions. The important endocrine glands are pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal, and sex glands. So these are the major kind of endocrine glands which have a major role to play inside our body. Or even you can say the most of the important kind of task inside our body, they have been done by these important kind of endocrine glands, or you can say mostly the pituitary. That's why we call them the master gland, because most of the functions and important function, they has been regulated by the pituitary, our anterior. There's two part inside pituitary, anterior and posterior. So both of the part are equally mannered in the functioning and regulating hormones. Majorly anterior pituitary is more efficient. Now this was about the endocrine. If we see what happened inside the exocrine, sorry. So exocrine glands, they are duct glands. Okay, they are having ducts, same opposite to the endocrine. They are possessing ducts inside them. They're attached with a specific duct. Okay, so their ducting process is very specific. They cannot just flow their hormones or enzymes or whatever their secretory products is. Their secretory product exactly not hormones. They're producing something else, but their function are more of alike. So they are attached with a specific duct. So every organ or every gland, exocrine gland, they have a specific duct for their transportation. So the secretory product of exocrines, they are having enzymes, mucus, and other substances as a their secretory product. Endocrine have hormones too as a secretory. But exocrine glands, they have other things, but they also do the secretion thing. But their secretory product is not hormone. Enzymes, mucus, and any other thing doesn't useless, depend on what kind of secretion they are responsible for. The secretion are released to the outer surface of the body or to some internal organ through a duct. So the secretion that has been released by the exocrine gland, they will be going to the outer surface of the body and some internal organ through the duct. Exocrine glands are simple, they are not very complex. They are just one organ producing something. They have a specific duct to translocate it and provide them to their target organ. So this is they're very simple. They do not need several kind of mechanism, feedback mechanism to do. They just produce in an appropriate manner, like what amount of secretory things or enzymes or mucus they needed to be, secrete, and after that, whenever the need is not there, they just stop. So the important exocrine glands are salivary glands in our mouth, liver, pancreas, and sweat glands. So you can see that everyone have a different role to play inside our body. As we some of them we studied in the digestive system, like salivary glands. They are responsible for digestion for the starch, as amylase present inside the salivary glands. So they are going to digesting out the starch even in the mouth, breakdown of starch. So liver, pancreas, they have their specific juices or enzymes to produce, which are very helpful in the digestion process. So these, important thing or important kind of secretory material can be secreted by exocrine. Now, apart from the hormones or certain other chemical signals, they can also be secreted by the cell. Basically, hormones are the natural one which has secreted as a chemical signal. But their signal, they can be their other kind of signal also in a pathway actually. What kind of pathway they are going to take up? So these are termed as autocrine, paracrine, GI tract hormones. So these are the three different kind of messengers or chemical signals which are produced by the cell. Now we will going to see them one by one. So autocrine, they are the chemical signals produced by the cell and influence the activity of cell itself. So this is a kind of they do all the function to by their own. Like they are the chemical signal produced for by the cell. Same cell, like cell A, if we talk about, they're producing the particular signal and influencing their own activity. So if they are doing this kind of thing, they will be called as autocrine. So autocrine effects are more important for growth and sustenance of the cancer cells. So mostly this kind of effects, they has to be seen in the growth and sustainability of the cancer cell, because cancer cell just produce some kind of effects and signals and repeat it on their own. In a hostile environment, normal cells cannot grow, but the cancer cell grow and proliferate. So normally in a hostile environment, when some of the genetic material has been taken up and you can say the mutated, and something other taken over the control. So in that environment, normal cell cannot grow because they need a proper treatment, they need a proper guidance to be grow and develop. But the cancer cells, they can grow and they can even develop in a manner or they can divide. This is, you can see here, a simple cell. They are producing a hormone or any secretory material and affecting their own growth. So this kind of pathway, they are called the autocrine pathway. Now the paracrine. Paracrine are the chemical signals produced by a cell and diffused in the surrounding area and act on the cells in the vicinity without entering circulation. this is different from the autocrine. Like they are also producing some chemical signal, but the chemical signal which is produced by a cell and diffused in the surrounding area and act on the cell in the vicinity without entering the circulation. So here you can see that this kind of pathway will be going to see, like this is endocell. They are going to secrete a hormone in their interstitial fluid, a particular cell, they are going to affect that particular cell. So this kind of, or this concept, that is called the paracrine concept. So somatotrostanin, which regulate the secretion of insulin, and glucagon in pancreas is a classical example of paracrine system. Means actually they just they are secreting hormones in a fluid or around the fluid. So whatever the cell which is in connect with this fluid area or their density entering the circulation, they will going to get their effects. So they are not affecting itself only, they are affecting all the cells which are present near to them. Endocrine concept. Gi Tract hormones, they are not included under classical endocrinology. So basically, if we talk about them, they are not efficiently come under the endocrinology. The hormones of GI tract act on the surface in the GI tract and alter the secretion and movement. So basically, they're very specific structures, or you can say they're very specific to only GI tracts. So this GI tract, they alter the secretion and the movement. So this tract hormone, which are responsible for secreting, they just secrete it for altering their movement and produce it in a different manner. Now the hormonal function in the body are, what are the function which has to be done by the hormones inside our body. So we'll see what are the functions which can be performed here. So first is here regulation of the metabolism. So the body has to do in a metabolism rate, or every catabolism, anabolism, they are going inside our body. So this regulation that should be in control with the hormones, and actually the whole metabolism regulation is can be done by the hormones. Regulation of water, electrolyte content. So if we see the what amount of water should be inside of the cell and outside fluid, or electrolyte content, iron concentration. So that also has to be governed by the hormones. Health for growth. So mostly if you heard about the growth hormones, we have a specified growth hormones produced by anterior pituitary and hypothalamus. So this is very responsible for any and every kind of the growth present inside the body. So this growth pattern that has to be related with the hormone. If the growth hormone is not secreting in appropriate amounts, so maybe growth retardation can be seen inside a living being. And if they're producing over, that can also cause several problems, and before aging and anything. So they can be seen inside the body. So hormones are, all the physiological function, they need to be monitored under the condition of the hormones production. In the certain situation, they help the body to withstand the stressful stimuli. And also, like if our body is feeling some kind of stress condition, fear condition, or trauma situation, then that also can be helped by the hormone action, because there are very many hormones which are related to our corpus luteum and the adrenal section also. So they work on the adrenaline to be released and make us a little comfortable. The endocrine glands are present in different part of the body. Few of them are paired like adrenal and other unpaired like pituitary. So not only that all the one isolated or all the one are paired, they can be isolated and they can be paired one. So if we are talking about a paired one, so the adrenal are the one which present in a pair, but we also have an unpaired one like the pituitary. This is our endocrine system, male and female. You can see the different kind of endocrine system we have got here. this is the penile system, okay, and the very important part that is called the blue one, you can see hypothalamus. This is the major event of the endocrine system is controlled and calculated by the hypothalamus, and hypothalamus also govern the activity of pituitary gland. These three is present in the brain portion: pineal, hypothalamus, and pituitary. Second, we see in the neck, our neck, that are in the above region we have thyroid gland, wingy. We also can the butterfly gland and the wingy gland because it have like two wings. And after that, this parathyroid and thymus. They're a little heart shape. So parathyroid and thymus just beneath the thyroid. Here we on above our kidney we have this adrenal cortex. Kidney also is have some function of endocrine function. They also produce like 3 to 4 hormones: renin, crystol, and efferent. So these 2 or 3 kind of hormones which are produced by the kidney also. Pancreas, they are responsible for the secreting juices. They are like exocrine system basically, come in the exocrine. Testes and ovary, they are responsible for secreting male hormones and female hormones, vice versa. And the uterus also has several layers which are responsible for producing the estrogen and progesterone, like the corpus luteum, but that is a temporary organ. But yes, they are responsible for producing several kind of hormones inside the body. So these are some special kind of endocrine system are present inside our body. So hypothalamus, anterior and posterior pituitary, islets of Langerhans, adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla, they present in pairs. As we talk about, some present in pair like adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla, thyroid, parathyroid, testes, and ovaries. So these are the important kind of the glands present inside our body. Essential endocrine glands means without the secretion from these glands, the basic survival of the person is not possible. These essential endocrine glands are the parathyroid and adrenal. So these and also the pituitary in my case. So the pituitary, adrenal, parathyroid, and the hypothalamus. These are the the glands. If they are not present, none of the function can be happen inside the body. Even one of the gland is not responding accurately, or they're creating some problem, that will be a problem for our body. And because everything which is present inside our body is really essential, because nothing can be a waste thing which can be present in our body. Our body is a very complicated, sophisticated, and very highly tech kind of design, which have everything in appropriate manner to do their function, and they have a lot of backup plans for some failures. So if there is anything, any gland, any organ, any vein, anything at all present inside our body, so just think its mind that they really have a play an important role inside our body. So this was the overview of endocrine system. Now we are going to see the hormones, a miracle for life, or you can say, by if hormones are not present inside our body, we don't have a life at all. So this word hormone that was introduced by Bayliss and Starling in 1902. So this was not very old. They come into the early 20th century and was derived from a Greek word that are called harmos, which mean excite or stimulate. So this because their function is basically for exciting and stimulating organs to do their reproductive or to do their replicative functions. So most of the hormones on the secretion are transported to a distant site to exert their effects upon specific tissue. So this is a basic common function which has to be performed by the hormones, that they just release and secrete it and transported it to a particular target organ to do their specific job for stimulating them. Hormones are classified according to their nature. So there are nature on the basis of hormones nature. We can classify them. Like the first nature is based on source, means from which they are going to secrete. Chemical nature, composition, how they are made. Third, mode of action, what work they will do. So these are the basic kind of characters which are present inside a hormone, and on the basis of these character, we can classify them. So first kind of type or classification we are going to see on according to the source. So hypothalamic hormones, if we are talking about here, so they are secreted from the group of a specialized cell located in the hypothalamus. So the hormones which are destined to secreted from the hypothalamus, they can be known as hypothalamic hormone. And they are secreted by a very specialized cell which are present inside the hypothalamus. They are called hypothalamic nuclei, which stimulate production and release of anterior pituitary. So basically, this AP is most of their function is has been stimulated by the production and release hormone from hypothalamus. Anterior pituitary hormones are to be stored in the posterior pituitary. So basically, two phases of the pituitary. One is anterior, second one is posterior. Posterior pituitary is commence themselves for the collection or storing of the hormones. Anterior pituitary is responsible for secreting them. So those acting upon AP, anterior pituitary, are either releasing hormone or factor, or releasing inhibitory hormones or factor. Means releasing inhibiting factor or releasing inhibiting hormones, and either it can be releasing hormone and releasing factor. So these four conditions are basically applied on the anterior pituitary, and according to these four situation, anterior pituitary respond to them. If they are getting the releasing hormone, they will going to release some hormone. If they are going to have some release inhibiting hormone, they are going to inhibit that hormone production. So on the basis of their qualities, and these qualities of anterior pituitary, they all qualities are actually governed by the hypothalamus activities. Now, the current knowledge reveals that there are six releasing hormones or factor, that are only three releasing inhibiting hormones factor are produced by the hypothalamus to act on the EP. So six releasing hormone and only three inhibiting hormones. So you can see total nine hormones are secreted by the hypothalamus just to act on the anterior pituitary. And on the basis of these nine hormones, you can say anterior pituitary work. For this six hormone, they are for the releasing factor, and these three hormone, they are working on the inhibitory factor. So those with known chemical structure and synthesis in the laboratories are better called hormones. So basically, the chemical structure which can be synthesized and make for better understanding, that can be called as hormones, while others are called factors. So the things which are be secreted by the hypothalamus, if we can create them, if we can synthesizely make them, or we know their structure and we know everything about them, so we can call them the hormone. But if we don't understand them, if we don't know their structure, or if we don't understand them, not even synthesizely produce them, because we don't know them. So that's why in that case we call them the factors. But yeah, they are present there, but we cannot synthesize them inside the laboratory. They are listed in Table 12.22.1 and collectively known as hypothalamic regulatory hormones. So these all collectively known as hypothalamic regulatory hormones. Either it be releasing one or it can be inhibitory one. But as they regulate the function of hypothalamus, so we can consider them as a regulatory hormones. This is the table 22.1. And you can see the sixth releasing hormone or factor, the very one and important GnRH, gonadotrophin releasing hormone. Second, thyrotrophin releasing hormone TRH, somatotrophin releasing hormone SRH, GnRH. Basically, all the named and releasing hormones are responsible for the releasing of the particular hormone. Like as I am talking about thyrotrophin releasing hormone, okay, thyrotrophin releasing hormone. So basically, this TRH going to tell pituitary to release thyrotrophin. Corticotrophin, that releasing hormone is for responsible for releasing corticotrophin from anterior pituitary. Melanocyte stimulating hormone release factor. This is factor, two factors actually, and four hormone. Prolactin releasing factor. This also we cannot synthesize inside the lab. This two, fifth and sixth number. Release inhibiting hormones. So basically, they are present here for inhibiting some kind of process. Somatotrophin release inhibiting hormone SRIH or GHRIH. They inhibit both the things. Melanocyte release inhibiting hormones, so they just can be inhibit the melanocyte releasing. Prolactin release inhibiting factor, only one factor is work in an inhibitory loop here, otherwise two are the hormones. Now hormones of the pituitary gland we are going to see here. Pituitary gland is present in all vertebrates but is well developed in higher animals. So basically, they are present everywhere in all kind of having all vertebrates. Basically, not in all the one. So majorly vertebrates have pituitary inside them, but in higher animals like us, this is the developed one. The anterior pituitary gland contain three type of cells. So they are having this three kind of cell inside them: acidophilic, basophilic, and chromophobes. Name also suggesting their meaning, like the chromophobes are considered to be cell under resting phase, while the other two typically supposed to secrete hormone. So this acidophilic and basophilic, they are responsible for secreting the hormones here, and this chromophobes, they are just for the collecting and storing the hormones or resting period. When the anterior pituitary needs the hormone, they can take it from them, but until and unless it is not in need, they can store it. The acidophilic cells have been identified to secrete growth hormones, while the basophilic cells secrete FSH, LH, ACTH, TSH, and probably prolactin also. So the major acidophilic just for the responsible for secreting growth hormone, and basophilic that is responsible for secreting all the FSH, LH, ACTH, TSH. Immunofluorescent microscopy has helped in identification of independent cell type of each of the hormone. So actually, how we got this knowledge, how we got it, I told you, told you that how to study about immunofluorescent microscopy, which tell us about the particular stage and particular activity within the cell, so we can see it under the microscope, like what kind of cell secreting what kind of hormone. These cell type are the troughs of the hormone they secrete. They are known as somatotrophs. Also, these cells which are having specialized function for secreting the hormones, as the troughs we call the hormone. Hormone is a name. You can say the hormone in another word. We can call them the troughs. So they secrete, so they can be called as somatotrophs, corticotrophs, thyrotrophs, and so on. So whatever the things they are transferring or secreting there, on the basis of their secretion, we can call them somato, cortico, and thyrotrophs. The hormones of the pituitary glands also listed here. So you can see hormones of anterior pituitary and their target organ and target organ secretory hormones. Like gonadotrophin, GnRH, they are secreted by anterior pituitary going to their target organ, ovaries and testes. And what secretory hormones they are going to make? Ovarian and testicular hormones like progesterone, estrogen, or you can say another one like prolactin after later version, and also the one was it testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. They all be circulated by, or sorry, secreted by the GnRH, FSH, and LH basically. Follicular stimulating hormone that will going to make the follicle, and luteinizing hormone that is going to developing them. Thyrotrophins, the TSH, they can be Thyrotrophins, they can be for thyroid gland, basic their target organ that is a thyroid gland, and their target organ that is the thyroxine. So this is a target organ secreting hormone which is being produced by the thyroid gland. Adrenocorticotrophin, that is the target organ adrenal cortex, and glucocorticoids, that will be the hormone which will be secreted by adrenal cortex. Somatotrophin, SDH and GH. This will going to have a target organ like somatic cells, liver, epiphyseal, and they are going to secrete the somatomedium. So these are the particular kind of hormones that are secreted by AP. They have their specific target organs, and inside their target organs, they are going to have their own kind of secretory hormones. Now, the gonadal hormones, they are also very high importance inside the animals. So, all higher animals have gonads which secrete hormones and also produce germ plasm. Geneticity, or you can say genetic material reproduction, that all helped by the gonadal hormones. The gonads work under the influence of trophic hormones of AP, so they also work under the influence of anterior pituitary, in the absence of which they undergoes atrophy and degeneration. The male gonads are called testes and the female gonads are called ovaries. So if we're talking about the male gonads, they can be known as testes. And as we are talking about the female gonads, they can be called as the ovaries. So the hormones secreted by the gonads, they are listed in here. Testes, testosterone, aldosterone, estradiol. These were the three hormones which are stimulated or released by the testes. Ovaria. Ovarians have different, complex structure in the female reproductive system. Thick internal cell of Graafian follicles. They will going to secrete the hormones like estradiol, estrone, estriol. So these are one which is developed by Graafian follicles. Second is lutein cells of corpus luteum. They are going to secrete the progesterone. Corpus luteum is a temporary organ, but yes, they are responsible for secreting the progesterone as well as they are present inside the ovary, or you can see better to be the uterus. Now the thyroid hormones we are going to see. So the thyroid hormones are present in higher animal, synthesizing iodinated thyroxine called tetraiodothyronine, that is T4, triiodothyronine, that is T3, diiodothyronine, that is T2, and monoiodothyroxine, that is T1. So these kind of, in short, we can remember them as a T1, T2, T3, T4. So out of four iodinated thyroxine, T4 and T3, T4 and T3 are proactive and active hormones and are releasing in circulation. T3 is more potent than T4, while T4 serve better as prohormone or to T3. So actually T4, if we see the T3, that is more potential in comparison to the T4. The C cells of the thyroid gland secrete one hormone called calcitonin, which regulate the level of calcium, phosphorus, and partially sodium and potassium in blood. Apart from these all T1, T2, T3, T4 hormone, thyroid cells, C cells of the thyroid gland, they also responsible for secreting the calcitonin. And what is the function of calcitonin here? They are regulating the level of calcium, phosphorus, and sometimes sodium and potassium inside the blood. Now, if we see the parathyroid hormones, how the parathyroid hormones are responsible. So, parathyroid hormone is a hormone secreted from parathyroid gland and possess osteocalcitic activity, like the vitamin D is necessary for its action. So any kind of osteocalcitic activity which are having inside our body, that has to be done by this parathyroid hormone, but they need vitamin D as their cofactor for working inside the organ. Okay, adrenal hormones now. So the two adrenal glands located in the abdomen close to the kidney and actually composed of two distinct portions and have a very little functional relationship with each other. The two portion of the cortex and medulla, so actually they present near the kidney, but they do not have any much, correlation with the kidney for their hormone production. But yes, they are having this two portion for responsible for their uh, hormone release, and that is one is cortex and second is medulla. Hormones to regulate blood glucose and certain minerals, while the medulla secrete neuroendocrine emergency hormones. So these cortex that is responsible to regulate the blood glucose and also some other minerals. This is the first function. Second function is the medulla that acts as a neuroendocrine emergency hormone, or you can say some neuroactivity which got come under the emergency that will be handled by the medulla. So the hormones of adrenal gland are listed here. We will going to see secretion of cortical hormones is either under the control of ECTH or free from it, while the medullary hormone is entirely free from any direct pituitary influence. Actually, cortical hormones they can be under the anterior pituitary or any hypothalamic activity presence that can regulate the production of inside the cortex, but the medullary one, they are entirely free because they work in the emergency scenario. And as they work in the emergency scenario, they don't need permission from the higher authority to work. They have power to do the condition, to take actions at the condition of emergency. So you can see here cortical hormones, glucocorticones and mineralocorticones that will be secreted by the cortical hormones, or you can say. And second one is here medullary hormone that is adrenaline and noradrenaline, isoprenin. They are the emergency hormone and come at the emergency level inside the body. Now, the last we are having this pancreatic hormone or local hormone. So, pancreatic, the islet cells of the pancreas secrete two hormones, namely insulin and glucagon, which regulate carbohydrate metabolism in the body. So, pancreas have the whole soul responsibility for the regulation of the carbohydrate. Insulin depress amount of glucose in the blood. Glucagon that increase the level of glucose inside the blood. So by increasing and decreasing of insulin and glucagon, they are balancing the blood sugar and also regulate the carbohydrate metabolism. Local hormone, in addition to hormones stated above, the body secretes a number of other hormones like substances which together and grouped as a local hormone. Actually, apart from all the major endocrine hormones, we also have some local hormones, or you can say, which basically act on some specific condition and a specific time. So collectively, we can call them the local hormone like gastrin, secretin, pancreathymic, cholesterol, chronic gonadotrophs, thymic hormone, acetylcholine, and noradrenaline. However, some of they play bigger role also, but yes, they have a very short and specific and very. You can say they do not have much to play, so that's why we don't put them into a very major kind of hormones. But yes, still they have some roles to play, and some have some bigger roles to play. This was all about the hormones, special kind of hormone, what is endocrinology, states for their pathways and how can they influence certain kind of metabolic activity inside our body. Still, you wanted to study more on humans and behavior and hormones, how they related in medicines and other body references. So you can go through these references. They will going to definitely help you. And I think that's all for today. Thank you. Still, you guys have any problem? You can ask me.